Hey, what's up everybody? In case some of you have been busy the last few days and haven't been able to see my last few videos, I am doing a new giveaway, which you can find the link down in the description to enter for your chance to win the complete collection of the Game of Thrones series on Blu Ray. So check that out if you want to enter. But now let's get into today's video. This video will mostly be about House Stark's ancestral sword, which was known as Ice, which was originally forged in ancient Valyria and has been passed down through the generations. It was actually the first Valyrian steel sword we were introduced to in the Game of Thrones television series, when we see Ned Stark behead a deserter of the Night's Watch in the very first episode.
In the name of Robert of the House Baratheon, the first of his name.
Don't look away.
King of the Andals and the first...
Father will know if you do.
Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and protector of the realm. I, Eddard, of the House Stark, Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North, sentence you to die.
It was a massive sword that looked almost too damn heavy to swing. In fact, the sword was so big that it would eventually be melted down and forged into two new swords. And unfortunately, we know how this part of the story ends. Ned Stark goes to King's Landing to be Hand of the King for Robert Baratheon. And while he's there, he starts to uncover the truth about Cersei and Robert's children, who are actually bastard children fathered by Jaime Lannister. Then Robert Baratheon eventually dies, and Ned starts to rebel against the crown, and is arrested and eventually executed under the orders of the new illegitimate King Joffrey. But the ironic thing about it is, Sir Ilyn Payne, who was the executioner, actually used Ned Stark's own sword to behead him.
Sir Ilyn, bring me his head.
Afterwards, the sword was kept in King's Landing, basically as a trophy, plus Valyrian steel is very rare, and was something Tywin Lannister has wanted for a very long time. Tywin Lannister eventually had ice melted down, which I must admit was a heartbreaking thing to see the Stark sword get melted down. It was just another reminder of the Stark family being ripped apart. But there is still hope that one day, the Stark sword is returned to its original form and returned to its rightful owners. But there is one interesting thing about ice being melted down here, and the interesting thing is the man who did it. In the books, the man who melts down ice and reforges it into two new swords for Tywin Lannister is none other than Tobho Mott. And excuse me if I mispronounce his name, but Tobho Mott is someone you have been introduced to before, if you're show watchers only. Tobho Mott has been Gendry's mentor for quite some time now, and he learned his methods in Qahar, and was one of the few armorers in the show who can work with Valyrian steel. Now in the books there are a lot more people who can reforge the steel, but in the television show, Tywin Lannister says there are only 3 people who know how to reforge it, which makes someone with that knowledge to do so very important in my opinion. But as far as we know, there isn't anyone that knows how to make Valyrian steel from scratch, not without the magic it requires during the forging process. But the man that Gendry worked with day in and day out knew how to reforge it, and he knew how to do it very well. And Gendry working with this man is not a coincidence. And here is a quote that Tobho Mott said himself to Ned Stark. He said, "My work is costly, and I make no apologies for that, my lord. You will not find craftsmanship equal to mine anywhere in the Seven Kingdoms, I promise you. Visit every forge in King's Landing if you like, and compare for yourself. Any village smith can hammer out a shirt of mail, but my work is art." And who was the man working with him, busting his ass every day, which his mentor had complimented him on several times? He has been learning this man's craft, and is now making art of his own. Think about it. George R. R. Martin could have had Gendry work anywhere in the story, or he could have made him work for any other smith in King's Landing. But he didn't. He works with the man who knows how to reforge Valyrian steel for a reason. And I'm going to say it again, this is not a coincidence. Now, I briefly talked about this in a previous video, and someone commented saying, "We have no proof that Gendry ever worked with Valyrian steel while he was a blacksmith there." Which is true, we don't have any proof of that. But that was for a reason also. They cannot reveal that just yet. That has to be saved for a later time. That way we think there is no way they can ever make any more weapons. Then that's when we're eventually going to get a scene or a chapter where Gendry says, "I know how to make it. I can reforge this steel. I was shown how. My mentor showed me how to do it." And he could have showed Gendry how to make it without ever needing him to use actual Valyrian steel. All he really had to do was show him the process. So when the time comes to use Valyrian steel, he would know exactly how to do it. But regardless, they already gave us that clue, that Gendry's mentor can reforge Valyrian steel. Which is exactly why Gendry is working for that man. For this to come into play in the future. I guarantee it. This is a story where people have desperately needed this precious metal. Especially now that another war for the Dawn is upon us. We're going to need weapons to fight the White Walkers now more than ever. And spoiler alert, and guess who is returning to the show? Just in time before the wall falls. I guarantee this is one of the reasons Gendry is coming back. I think he's going to be legitimized by Dany or Jon. That way he can continue the Baratheon name. In the Warhammer you've seen in the leaked photos of Gendry on the beach, I guarantee you he made that hammer himself. He did not steal the hammer from his father. Gendry's a blacksmith. That's all he knows how to do. When Davos helped him escape from Dragonstone, I guarantee that's what Gendry went back to doing. And since Melisandre revealed who he was, I bet he made that hammer in honor of his father. And what was one other important thing Melisandre said to Gendry?
"You're more than they can ever be. They're just foot soldiers in the Great War. You will make kings rise and fall."
She said, "You will make kings rise and fall." Now, when Melisandre said that, she meant that his blood would do this with her magic. But Melisandre has been wrong many times before. She's always misinterpreting her own visions. I actually think this means Gendry will make a weapon that makes a king rise and fall. Possibly reforging ice to be used in the new War for the Dawn that takes down the Night King. And I know some of you are probably thinking, we don't need new Valyrian steel. All they got to do is use dragon glass. Let me tell you something. When the final battle happens, Jon Snow's going to fight the Night King one-on-one. And it's not going to be done with dragon glass. It's going to be a sword fight. And Jon's not going to use Longclaw either. He's going to have a new sword. Longclaw is not going to be Lightbringer. It's going to be the most epic one-on-one battle the show has ever seen. And when Jon takes on the Night King in the final war, he's going to have a brand new sword. And how fucking awesome would it be to see the Stark sword put back to its original form? And it's the sword that wins the biggest war. I would absolutely love that. But how will both swords end up back with the Starks? When Tywin gave Joffrey one of the swords for his wedding gift, you can see the look on Sansa's face, because she knows exactly where that sword came from.
One of only 2 Valyrian steel swords in the capital, Your Grace. Freshly forged in your honor.
You see Sansa's face? I bet Tyrion knows too. Especially after Joffrey said it will be like cutting Ned's head off again every time he uses it. Which is a clear reminder that Ned's head was cut off with his own sword, and half of that now belongs to Joffrey, well, it did belong to Joffrey. And thanks to spoiler photos, we know that Jaime Lannister is now in possession of Widow's Wail, which does make me happy because I now know that the sword isn't buried in a pile of rubble or with someone's dead body. So the chances of the Starks ending up with both swords again is possible, especially since Brienne has Oathkeeper, which is the other half of Ned's sword. And since Brienne has sworn to protect Sansa, it's just a matter of time before it's revealed where that sword actually came from. Most people think Jaime will forever be a piece of shit, but there's a better chance of him doing the right thing with these swords than Cersei would have ever done, because Jaime absolutely knows where this sword came from.
Magnificent. Looks fresh forged.
It is.
No one's made a Valyrian steel sword since the Doom of Valyria.
There are 3 living smiths who know how to rework Valyrian steel. The finest of them was in Volantis. He came here to King's Landing at my invitation.
Where did you get this much Valyrian steel?
From someone who no longer had need of it.
So there are plenty of people alive who know what happened to Ned Stark's sword. And now that both swords are going to make an appearance in Season 7, the chances of them ending up with the Starks again have increased. We just have to hope that someone ends up making the right choice and give them back to the rightful owners. And I do think that Brienne is going to end up giving her sword to one of the Starks. And I think Tyrion could possibly talk his brother Jaime into returning it. Because once Tyrion is back inside the Stark circle during their alliance, he's going to be more eager to make things right again. Or you never really know what could happen. Jaime and Brienne could both end up dying, which would vacate ownership of both of those swords. I think there are a number of ways the Starks can get them back, and I'm very confident that they will. And I know Gendry can reforge them to its original form, unless one of the Starks requests it to be different, or to make it into several weapons for the war. But either way, I know the Starks are going to end up having the steel again, and that's all that matters to me. So comment below, guys, and tell me what you think. Do you like this idea? Do you want to see ice put back together again? Do you have any ideas of your own about how the Starks can get both of these swords back to make ice again or make something else? Let me know, because I'm curious what you guys think about all this. And as always, thanks for watching. I will see you guys down in the comment section. Bye.